Hey, this is Mikko from ML Sound Lab, and this is Amped ML800 2.0. Yes, ML800 finally in 2.0 format. So many awesome new things inside here. Obviously the looks, we really needed to upgrade the looks. It was one of the first plugins we ever made. So apologies for the looks that we had before. Now we have an epic looking amplifier here in the UI. But that is actually not the most impressive thing about this update. The really cool thing is I completely redid the modeling for this amplifier, and the reason is actually quite simple. Back in those days when we started out, I really didn't have a live room where I could actually crank the amplifier up all the way, so I heavily relied on using reactive load boxes for amplifiers that were this loud, and this is one of the loudest amplifiers of all time. That is no longer a problem, so I actually could crank this amplifier up here as loud as it goes, and while doing that and while doing those tests, it became very clear that these kinds of amplifiers that rely on the master gain or the volume kind of distortion, you know what I'm talking about, they change their character quite a bit when they're using real amplifiers versus reactive loads. So quite many amp sims out there have been done by using some sorts of load boxes because that's the easiest way to measure what the amplifier is doing. The sad reality is that the impedance of any load box really isn't 100% correct or realistic. So we actually used this cabinet that's here in the cabinet section, the green 93. So that cabinet was used for capturing this amplifier. So when you're using that exact cabinets, you're actually getting 100% realism, and obviously it's more realistic when you're using this real cap impedance with the other IRs as well. Anyways, I'm getting into this way too much. This modeling has been completely redone. It's almost like a different plugin, different amplifier, and the sound will change drastically. So you will have the option to install the old version if you prefer that sound, but this is more realistic sounding. It's tighter and it's brighter, and just in my opinion much more authentic, and it's what I want people to think when they try ML Sound Lab's ML800. Okay, so what you heard here in the beginning was actually just the noon settings here, and it's called noon Kerrang. Really nothing much to it, all the knobs at 12. You get this amazing mix ready sound that's suitable for anything from punk to classic rock to anything imaginable. And as you probably already know, even today some of the best metal bands out there still are using this amplifier but only boosting it, which you can do with this plugin. So I highly recommend you do that, especially for lower tunings. I find that these British amplifiers are amazing. You don't really need to have that much gain. It just brings that correct kind of saturation, so you retain the tightness even though you have a super low tuning. Okay, let's listen to this plugin rather than have me talking about it all day long. So obviously now with this update you get the tuner, which is as precise as possible. This will give you the truth, and many times the truth is that your instrument cannot stay in perfect tune, but it's good that you know, in my opinion. The pedal board has the noise gate, our sort of noise expander, more than a gate that actually cuts your sound. This sort of lowers the noise floor of your signal rather than cuts out the sound. I don't really like that natural sound. I just want to get rid of the noise. This is what it's for. The compressor is sort of a 1176 type compressor as a one knob. Awesome compressor. Then we have this screamer type drive pedal. We have a chorus. we have an analog delay circuit, and we have a reverb that's very flexible. And in the cabinet section, we now have 3 cabinets. Now, ML800 was actually so old that we didn't have a cabinet section back in the day, so we just included quite many IRs as options for people. Now we have 3D movements for these cabinets. So for example, if I wanted to, I could just place this 57 more to the side. If I wanted to, I could actually angle the 57. If I wanted to, I could pull it back. So many amazing things that you can do with this cabinet section. And not only that, we have 4 different mics to choose from. So if I wanted to, I could just use a 421 instead of the 57 here. We have 2 different mics to blend with each other. And like we've done here, one of the mics is a 57 on the Mofo, while one of the mics is the 160 on the 4x12 green. So you can get so much more versatility out of this cabinet section now. Obviously, the latest Vorna features, you can actually disable the Vorna into a light mode if your CPU can't really handle the new updates. And as with all the latest amp plugins, you can actually control this plugin via MIDI. So if you want to use this at rehearsals or maybe even live with a laptop, you can do that. That is pretty awesome. And as far as ML800 goes, we actually modeled both inputs. So we have the high sensitivity and we have the low sensitivity for kind of lower gain settings. Let's stick to the high and go through some of these presets. Now, the 1968 cab is a preset that we have here, which goes to show that this cabinet that we have in here in the cabinet section is actually a 68 pre-roller cabinet with M75s. Now, this particular cabinet, for some reason, has amazing low end to it and a lot of punch. So just have a listen to the sound. So a lot of low-end punch and fullness that complements this amplifier quite a bit, because the amplifier is a brighter, tighter amplifier. Now, if you have a cabinet with a lot of punch to it, that meaning low-end thump, so to say, then you actually get a really nice balanced sound. The next preset we have here is Boosted Modern. This is here just to show how good this is for metal. So as you probably heard, we got rid of the noise. We have a noise gate and we have the drive on, and that's it. All of the settings are quite basic here, and this is the sound that you get. So what I wanted to show you there is that it is one of the tightest sounds you can actually get. I would say it's tighter than the Mark series from Mesa. It's sort of that tight palm mute chuck kind of a thing, but it's only that punch and none of the low end rumble, because you know this amplifier really is not a low end rumble amplifier. So this is an amazing sound. I'm not at all surprised that so many bands even today still heavily rely on this amplifier. Now, what else do we have in here? We have saturated strats. Maybe I'll switch guitars at some point to show off that one. But let's check Welcome to the Jungle. And let's see if I can play you something. Notice the settings are 66666. Those are actually the settings used by Guns N' Roses. Just so amazing sounding. Now let's jump to a different guitar. See you in a bit. Then let's check another preset. Tom against the machine, nodding to the Rage Against the Machine tone. This is once again the amplifier used by Tom Morello as well. And yes, this is the 80s from my birth year actually. The exact correct model of amplifier that should be used for all these tones. Okay, let's check out some of the cleaner sounds. Snappy strats on a telly, maybe? Let's have a listen. That's as far as I will go, I promise. Let's check something else. Eternal ambience. Okay, that's the last forbidden riff, I promise. But yes, it has a very beautiful sounding clean channel as well. It's not necessarily a clean channel, you really have to struggle to get it sounding clean, but it does have that sound, and it's a very familiar sound if you find it. Let's check one more tone, and that is called Gent Comes from Europe, as it does. I sure hope I didn't mess that one up. It's been 20 years since I've played that. But yes, that's a Meshuggah riff. Go check it out. If you haven't heard of this band and you know Gent, I feel sorry for you. Okay, that's essentially it. I really don't want to waste your time with this. It's a completely different amp sim. If you've tried the ML800 before, you need to do it again, because this sounds completely different, and it's one of my best amplifiers from my collection. I have quite many amplifiers, but that's one that will never ever leave. It's so unique and awesome sounding. Now you can have it as a plugin. Well, you could before, but now it's even more realistic. Thank you so much for watching the video. Remember to subscribe, and we have a sort of a deal going on right now for this update release, so now is a very good time to get it if you don't have it already. Thank you so much for watching the video. I've been the Mickey from the ML Sound Labby kind of company thingy. Bye bye.